Hello, Mikeala. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Kylie. Thank you so much for having me.
I know this is so funny because it's kind of been a long time coming. We crossed paths on Instagram and I reached out to you and we started having this great conversation about how podcasters already have the content to turn all of that into a book. And so I was like, okay, well, I have to have you on the show. So before we dive in, I want you to share very briefly what are you most passionate about within what you do?
Such a good question. I love that. Truly, what gets me so jazzed about this work is seeing women come alive to their creativity. I think so often we suppress it or we ignore it, but to start to own it, step into it, step out into it, make mistakes, but then figure it out. Watching women come alive to their creativity is just so sweet and so special because yes, you publish a book, but what I see often is just this deeper transformation of more confidence.
Mhm.
They feel more aware of the needs and how they can meet people, in those needs, the transformations that they can bring people. It just has this wild ripple effect. And it's just one of the coolest things. And so I just really love it. Yeah. I could talk about it for so long, but that is probably what I feel like is the most passionate that I am about publishing books.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more that in a place where we have ChatGPT to help us write our social media and help us outline our podcast scripts and everything, I would imagine like you can't ChatGPT your way to a book.
Yeah.
You have to do the deep, like you have to dig deep. You have to cultivate that creativity and the stories and all of the things. And I imagine you get to see that process. And on the flip side, I would imagine if I was doing that, like that is gonna be infused into everything I create.
Absolutely. It's so fun to see people being like, "Oh my gosh, my messaging feels so much more clear now
Yeah.
because you have to do so much deep work into all of this." And we kind of pull it apart and talk about "Hey, what's the path that people are taking for this transformation? What
Mm.
do they need to know along this path?" And so their messaging, their confidence just, increases. And I love ChatGPT. I use it all the time. It's amazing. And it can write a book for you if it's a good book, and if it's a book that's authentic to you and your message is a whole different question. And so when you write one, sure, with the help of AI at whatever, it can just be so cool, just the transformation that you really get to go through. So yeah.
Oh, I can imagine. It's so fun to watch that. So, okay, how do you see podcasting be able to kind of serve as the bridge between, you know, writing your clients writing the books and actually publishing it? Like where does the podcast come in? How does it work into everything that you're doing with your clients when you have a podcaster who comes to you and says, "I want to write a book?"
Yes, I love it. So one of the first things we try to really identify is, hey, what's the purpose of your book? If it's more of a passion project, that's kind of, a different way to write, different way to approach it. If it's for lead gen and you want to generate more clients because you've got a podcast and the podcast is really generating, nurturing people and seeing it as top of funnel, really what a book is it kind of acts as another top of funnel strategy for you. So just as a podcast brings in that know like trust factor, a book does the same thing. It brings in that know like trust because I don't know about you, but whenever I read a book, I feel like I'm the author's best friend. I'm like, "Oh, I know you." Like I have this personal relationship with you and they could not pick me out from a crowd, I'm reading, a 4 Hour Work Week right now, like Tim Ferriss, an old classic, but I'm reading it right now and I'm like, "I'm Tim's buddy. I know Tim and I are best friends," because I know more of his story. I know his voice. I feel like I'm having a conversation with him as I read the book. And so the book is just a different way to connect with your audience. What's great is with a podcast, you already have the content. It's really just a matter
Mhm.
of making some tweaks, changing it up just a little bit, and you just have one more vehicle to reach people. And we process information differently, like auditorily. We listen to something versus when we read it. And so you hit different ways that people learn
Mm.
when you've got a book and you have a podcast at the same time. It's like double whammy. You're going to really meet people exactly where they are and go deep with them so that they get really excited to keep working with you. And so it's just a natural pairing to have a book and a podcast together. But a lot of people feel, a little overwhelmed by the book part of
Mhm.
things. And so that's where we've been really able to help step in and help make that happen for them.
Okay, I can't wait to get to that. But before we do you have any client stories that your case studies that you could share? And they don't have to be a podcaster, but it would be awesome if you have some podcasters that you could
Yes.
share with us.
I have multiple podcasters because a lot
Cool.
of them are at a point in their business in which they've had a podcast and they're like, "Hey, I want to add a book, onto my like top of funnel." And so I have one client, she's about to hit 10 million in revenue this year, which is
My
so
God.
exciting. And she used a book as part of her strategy to hitting that. And we were able to get her to best-selling status. She knocked out Alex Hermosi and Donald Miller for 24 hours on the best-selling charts, which was really exciting, to see that, and now she's able to say she's a best-selling author as well as a top podcast host. So that credibility just is really exciting, for her. I also have another client who was able to beat out, Gary Vee on the best-selling charts for
Oh
24
my
hours, which is so exciting, and she told me that her business has just really started to explode. She has sold a book every single day, and it has really helped her business, but what's really cool too about a book is she sees it as part of her legacy too, because she is a
God.
single mom showing her son how to make it work in difficult situations, and it was so priceless for her to be able to have her son watch her write this book, work really hard to do it, then
Yeah.
publish it and be so successful with it. It's just a part of like the legacy that she's leaving for her kids.
Mhm.
And that she wants to show him he can do anything that he wants to do. And he's very capable with really hard work. And so it's just so cool that a book can, yes, help you absolutely on the business level, but just even on the personal level
Mm.
as well. It's just that deep satisfaction that you like accomplished something that only 3% of the population has
Oh,
actually done. Only 3% of people actually write and publish a book. And so you
okay.
get to join the top 3% of people who've done it. And so it's just that deep, deep satisfaction
Mm.
that you also get to experience as well. So we have tons more, but those are two that I
Mhm.
can just think off the top of my head that have a podcast and a book as well for top of funnel strategies.
Okay, so what industry are those women in? What is their podcast category? Like, I just
Mhm.
wanna make sure my listeners aren't sitting here thinking, "Well, I don't really have, like, a storytelling. I have a
Yes.
podcast that's more strategy, and how could I write a book based on that?" So, I'd love to hear kind of that, maybe what categories their podcast or their business are in, and then how that translates to the book.
Yes, such a good question. Yes. So we've got a lot of coaches. We've got some consultants. I have a girl who's actually just opened up a bakery, and she's always wanted for her whole life to write books and own a bakery. And so she has both now, which is so exciting. The book is about leadership, and she's going to be using a lot of those principles in her bakery as well as she employs women coming out of trauma, and so they're very much related in that capacity. So you don't have to be a coach or even a service based business to have a book. Whatever your podcast, the content is about, it can transfer over to a book. So we've got coaches, we have entrepreneurs, we have stay at home moms as well who are just really like passionate and really want to write
Mm.
books. We've got, I've had a photographer, a web designer. Who else do we have? Let me look at my little stack over here. We've got
Oh,
this little my little stack.
love
We have women who have just been through really traumatic situations,
Mhm.
and they wanna translate what they've learned over into a book. So, a book is, yes, story, but it's also a ton of strategy and teaching in it too. There's different genres of books, and we don't have to get into all of that, but what we do a mix of telling stories and
Mm.
teaching. We don't just do stories only. You also need to have an element of educating people and pushing them forward towards a transformation. And I'm guessing for most podcasters, there is an element of that, especially if you're more strategy based of a podcast.
Okay, that is so good. That those examples are great. So talk to me a little bit about What if somebody has like 200, 400 podcast episodes? Like, where do you even begin? I
Yeah.
mean, I can imagine you basically have all the content you possibly could need for a book, but how do you sift through it all to really bring it to life?
Yes, such a good question, especially yeah, if you have so many episodes, it can be like, "No, I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
touch that," because there's so many in there. So what is key to a successful book is truly that you have a key transformation that you will bring people through. So if you can first figure out what transformation do I wanna bring people through or am I bringing through in my podcast currently, then you can hang everything on that. We really like to have in these types of books that we are publishing, you essentially want to create a stack of dominoes right next to each other that line up. And once they have learned one idea lesson, then it hits the next domino and they've learned another lesson and another one and another one. And they essentially hit each other over, or another way you could look at it is they build on top of each other. So first, before you go digging into all of your episodes, think through what's the one transformation that I really want to bring people through. And then you can go back through and start to hang some of those episodes on that transformation so that then you can take people through essentially a journey through a transformation that they'll experience.
Well, okay, I love that because I feel like any entrepreneur should almost know and identify, especially like you and I work and speak a lot to female entrepreneurs. And I think it gives us such a unique experience to connect on a really intimate level. And when we are clear on the transformation that we can provide,
That's
and so to be able to just put that into the book and as you're reading it, I'm thinking through the books I'm an avid reader as well. So I'm thinking about all the books I read. I'm like, "Yes, okay, this is making so much sense.
Yes,
I see the pattern. I see the
yes,
puzzle." And
yes.
that's so beautiful. So, what is your first meeting when a podcaster comes to you? What
Mhm.
does your first meeting look like? Like, take us
Yes.
behind the scenes. What are you talking about?
Yes, such a good question. So it kind of depends on where they're at in the journey. Sometimes we get people who've already written their book or some who haven't.
Okay.
If they have not yet written their book, this it's my favorite to get to work to people who have not written because we can start, really on the foundation and build a book. A lot of people want to just start writing, and that's fine, but we really want to create a solid foundation and essentially like create a plan for what the book will be overall. So just like I talked about, like kind of building on top of each other, what are those pieces? So we create an outline together. I spend 2 days with a client. We'll go through all of their content and see like, hey, what do we need to do to pull all of this together and create an outline for you? And then they walk away from that time and they've got a full outline based off their podcast episodes, their masterminds, challenges, emails, things like that, that we just like pull this together and create an outline so that then when they go sit down to write, like it's like prompts for them, like tell this story, explain this idea, share a little bit more about this, go to the next chapter, and it's just kind of like plug and play a little bit. So it doesn't
Yeah.
feel as incredibly overwhelming to like write 50,000 words. Like that is so scary. But when you break it down into chapters and we outline those chapters, it feels way more manageable. And you just sit down and you say, I know I need to write the story for
Mhm.
chapter two, need to explain this concept in chapter two, and I'm done for the day. And, you do it the next day and you just keep going until you have all of that. So that's what we love to do is to just really like be able to create this plan for this book so that people feel confident because they're very capable in doing it. Very capable, especially if you've got a podcast and you have hundreds of episodes. That is not an easy thing to do. It's very possible to take that all down and move it over into a book.
Okay, so I am a writer. I came from a
Yes.
journalism degree.
Yes.
This sounds
We
so
love
much fun. I'm like, "Give me the bullets. I'd love to expand. I'll sit down and I'll write." That sounds therapeutic to
I
me. I
know,
love it.
doesn't it? I get kind of jealous after we do them, and I'm like, I kind of want to write this book for them. This like looks like fun.
Okay, so my listeners might be thinking, "Okay, that sounds great. I don't really know that I could write a book." Like, what kind of questions should they ask themselves to identify if they'd be a good fit for writing a book?
So, oh man, Kylie, how much time do you have? I feel like I talk about this for so long. I
Oh, good. I hit a good one. I love that.
there is just this idea that I think people have that you're either a writer or you're not a writer, that you're either born with a gift or you're not. And truly, writing is a skill. It's something that you can just learn and hone over time. But the base of good writing is if you can bring a transformation to people. That's what good writing is. And that's why I love working with entrepreneurs and podcasters because that's what we are so good at is bringing transformation to people, going from point A to point B. I do not pick up a book on potty training because it's super eloquent. I don't, please don't use big words. I don't need that. I need help potty training my 2-year old, you know? And so that's why I pick up a book. That's why I refer it to my friends. And so whatever, your podcast is on, people want that transformation. They are listening not necessarily because it's the most eloquent or whatever, it's because they know when they listen, they will be different people by the end of it.
Mm,
This problem that they have will be solved. They'll be one step closer. And so, if you can do that in your podcast, you can do that in a book. So, one of my missions in life is to help people recognize that you do not, it's not that you are a writer or not a writer, it's whether or not you are writing. If you are
mm,
writing, you are a writer. And you don't, whatever English teacher or person told you that you are not good at writing,
mm,
that you are not creative, that is a lie and it is not true. You are a writer if you want to write. And so we just, I think we have so just these ideas of writing and so many beliefs attached to them that we prohibit ourselves from actually recognizing that we are, in fact, writers and that we are capable of doing this. So when we redefine it as I'm giving a transformation for people, it opens up so many
mm.
doors because now more, you see the possibilities in front of you and that you are just missing out. And there's just been some block that you've had, some beliefs that you just kind of need to dismantle and see that you are a writer and you can help people.
Okay, that's so beautiful, so good, because it's so true. We are all so innately creative and tell wonderful stories, and, oh, I love
Yes,
that so much.
especially if you're a podcaster, like, you're communicating, and that's what writing is, it's communication. It's the exact same thing, it's just on paper, and yes, there are some tweaks, it's not, exact, but it's the same idea of just communicating a message.
Mm. Okay, so let's say you just inspired my listener, multiple listeners to, "Okay, I could do this," you know? What, first of all, what's kind of the first step that they should consider doing, and how long does it take to sit down and write a book for most of your clients?
Yeah, such a good question. So, first step is really to create that outline that we had talked about and really getting that down. Actually, even before that, probably knowing your transformation. What is a transformation? What's the takeaway that you really want people to walk away with the book? Both believing, but then also potentially, how do you want them to continue working with you? Do you have some courses, coaching, and things like that?
I
You
love
don't have
that.
to know all of that because you can change that over time, but if you have some things that you wanna, like, direct people to, it's helpful to know. So, really knowing your audience, knowing your transformation, and then creating that outline, which we can do over the course of about 2 days. When it comes to actually writing the book, I found that there's really 2 different types of writers. You're either a marathoner or you're a sprinter.
Sure.
So, the sprinters are my people, my $10 million client who, or she's about to hit 10 million. She wrote it in, like, 90 days, like, knocked it out, like, let's just get it
No.
done, and that's what works for her, and that's for her schedule, and she had been working on her messaging that she had the stories ready to go, and so it was easy for her to
Mhm.
do. Other people, like myself, I'm more of a marathoner. Give me, like, 30-minute sprints 3 times a week, and I'll get it done. It may take me 6 to 9 months, but that's okay. I'm really okay with that because that's how I work, that's how I think, that's what my nervous system can handle, and so that, it really varies quite a bit for a lot of people depending on how you work, your messaging, how long you want the book to be, and that sort of a thing. So, I say really anywhere between 90 days and 9 months really could be the range that it could be for publishing a book. Now we do self-publishing, which means when you're ready to publish, like, we can get it out, within a couple of months once we do editing, cover design, and all of that. If you went traditional publishing, it would take, like, closer to 1 or 2 plus years to get it out, so we do self, and so it's a lot quicker to get it out. So if you wanted to get a book out in 2026, this is November of 2025, if you wanted to get it out in 2026, it's very, very possible to get it out
Okay.
easily within a year for sure.
Okay, so you kinda led into what I wanted to ask next, which is why self-publishing, and what does that look like? What does that even mean, really?
Yes, I know. Everyone's like, "Wait, there's multiple ways to publish a book? Hold on a second." And so there are essentially 2 routes to publish. You can traditionally publish or you can self-publish. Traditionally published is a lot like Shark Tank, in which you go in and you pitch to a publishing house for them to take the book on for you. They will help with distribution, editing, all of that. But you do sign over rights to the book for to them, and they also get first dibs of royalties as well, because they're essentially taking on full investment of your book. So you won't get as much money, you don't have as much control, the timeline is a little bit longer, and you don't retain rights to the book as well. So if you ever wanted to make changes in the future, it would be a little bit more difficult. And I'm speaking very generally, everyone's contract is going to be different.
Okay.
That self-publishing is very much more like the bootstrapping entrepreneur who's going to bring a team together and go and write a book. And this team is going to help them, because writing a book alone is like the worst idea, because there's so many skills involved. You need design and editing, writing. And so you create a team to help you get to where you want to go. So for these types of books, lead generation type books, I love self-publishing because it puts the
Mm,
entrepreneur in full control over the content of the book when the book is released, what the call to action is. A
mhm, mm,
publisher's main agenda is their financial budget. They want to make sure that they are taken care of financially, so that all of their decisions are going to be driven by their bottom line. When you're self publishing, all decisions go towards you and your business. And so you can market however you want to market. You can put a call
mm,
to action, whatever you want to do. You can have your own content. You have complete control over that. I think of Alex Hormozy, who just recently did this ginormous book launch over the summer. It broke a Guinness Book of World Records. It beat
oh,
out Prince Harry, and Obama's memoirs, which is crazy. He sold, I believe, it was about 2.3 million books in 24 hours, and he self-published. And if he had traditionally published, I genuinely do not believe he would have had the success that he did, because he had full control over the marketing
mhm,
and over how he wanted to position this book
mhm,
towards his audience, versus traditional publishers only care about their bottom line. Now, not all traditional publishing is evil. There's some really great publishers out there, and for some people it makes the most sense. But I
mhm,
would say, generally speaking, self-publishing is going to be one of the best options for entrepreneurs, for really the control that you have in terms of time, rights, and
mhm.
royalties.
Okay, so you mentioned having a team.
Mhm.
Talk to me about what that would look like and what's the easiest way to go about gathering that
Yes,
crew?
yes. So I was an editor before I was doing self-publishing. I was just editing books, and we would finish edits and the client would be like, "So what's next?" And I was like, "I don't know. Good luck." And I didn't have any great next steps for them. And
Mhm.
so that is why I started assembling a team
Mm,
to be able to help people continue on so that their manuscripts just didn't stall out. And so, what happens after you've got the book written and edited is you need a cover design, and then you also need formatting or typesetting, in which we work on like the fonts and the making the interior look really pretty.
okay.
Once you get all of that done and taken care of, it's uploading and marketing. So the team that you really need is formatters, cover designers, and then people to help you upload and market it well. We really also help people get position them to get bestseller status on Amazon as well. So that's part of our marketing strategy as well. So those are really the team. I'm an editor, and so you definitely need editors. Absolutely need an editor to help you for sure. I don't Even if you are like the most incredible writer, you absolutely need an
Yeah,
editor. It's just too close to your face. So,
yeah.
I get my stuff edited all the time. So, and then just even having like a coach on the team too to help you through the process because it is a long process and it can be difficult to make this happen. And especially if you are talking on really difficult topics too, that kind of bring up a lot
Mhm.
in you as well. Having the
Oh,
help to guide you and coach you
mhm.
through the content and just to get you to the finish line is really helpful. So those are all the
Mhm.
different people that are on our team to help, make this happen. And it's a lot of admin too. So we've got some
Yeah.
admin help with all of that. So those are the people that you really need on your team to be able to help you make it happen.
And you have all that team set up. Like if
I do.
somebody okay, amazing. So go
Mhm.
to Mikeala, everyone. Don't do it on your own. Okay, so I obviously love marketing. So let's talk a little bit about the marketing of it all and how do you leverage the podcast? Like now you have a podcaster who's written a book. How
Mhm.
do you market it and do you leverage the podcast as part of that marketing plan?
Yes, yes, 100%. So we love telling our people who have podcasts, use your podcast to market the book 100%. If people are already listening, let's go deeper with them with the book because there may be stories on there you've never told or things that you've never mentioned before that could really drive people, to the book as well. We have really found too, one of the things that you want your book to be lead gen. So what we do is to get people out of the book and into your ecosystem is we really encourage people to do a ton of QR codes to direct
Mhm.
to the podcast as well. See like the people to the podcast, the book back and forth just to have, just continue to build that know like trust. And so you have QR codes to podcast episodes or to freebies, to master classes, to challenges, just so you get people, in your ecosystem.
Yeah.
One of the things, though, that we have really seen is people kind of overcomplicate marketing a book. If you have a
Mm.
low ticket offer, just market it like that.
Oh,
It's
okay.
because it's essentially a
Yeah.
7.99 offer. Because when you launch it, you will launch it lower. So it's almost like do a low ticket offer. And we have found email is one of the strongest book strategies to really sell the book. It's easy to click the link and go. I'm sure, people are listeners are using their podcast to build their email lists, but really that's what we have found is the email is really what's ultimately is what sells it. So we have people do
Mhm.
tons of emails to build awareness and just to get them excited. Ads can be helpful, but they're really cold traffic. And so we found them to be better for a long-term strategy than necessarily like a launch day strategy, just because you're hitting a really cold audience with ads. But for long term, it can be really helpful when you've got some Meta or even Google Ads help you for long term. And
Mm.
that's the last thing I'm talking so much about all this, but is really seeing your book as a long term
Yeah.
asset instead of just a one-time thing that you launch the book and then it's done. That it's so much more than that. This is something that's you're going to use to get prospects in all the time. And
Mhm.
so your launch, we want to go big because it's fun and it can definitely make a huge splash, but you want to have a long-term marketing strategy and it's included in your quarterly content. It's included in you mentioned it on the podcast frequently. You've got ads running to it. You've got organic traffic that you're doing in your email list and that sort of a thing to just continue that ongoing momentum because it is just really a long term strategy.
Oh, I love all of that. Okay, this is really exciting. So if my listeners are thinking, "Oh, this is something that I think I want to dive into in 2026." What's just one piece of advice you would give to them?
Just do it. Just do
Yeah.
it. You can totally do it.
Let's
I would say one piece of advice that I would give, man, one piece is so hard when you're like, how much, what are all the different things that I could give to you?
Yeah.
I think the one piece of advice that I would say is that it's worth it to look at the
Mhm.
long-term
Yeah.
strategy that you want to do. If you are building brand awareness and you're building a business that you really want to last and that you want to really build that trust factor in, a book is going to get you where you want to
Mhm.
go. And a book is it's going to change you in ways that you don't
Yep.
expect as well. And it's going to change your business and bring in people that you were completely not expecting. I have had so many clients who are like, I launched a book, and then my high school best friend and all these people came out of the woodworks to support me. And it's just really
Oh.
sweet to see almost the community and camaraderie that builds whenever you have this as part of your overall ecosystem.
Mhm.
So start small too. I'm giving way more than one piece of advice, Kylie. Who but just start small. It can be really intimidating to see this, whole book that you have to do. You don't have to
Mm.
do it all at once. You just do it small, in little increments. You can do 30 minutes a day if you needed to, and you eventually in time will get to be a full-fledged book.
Oh, that's so beautiful, and I mean, I'm so excited that you came on and shared this information. I have to laugh because we live on the road full time, and people are always like, "Oh my gosh, oh, I've always wanted to do it," or something like that, and the same thing I always say, "Just do it. Just do it. You'll never regret it. You'll never regret writing a book," right?
Oh, it's so true. You really truly won't. And what's stopping
Mhm.
you? Like we make up all of these excuses, like living on a road. It's
Totally.
like it's too hard. And how would I do this or how would I do that? And it's like you just figure it out, and it's absolutely worth it. I love that
Right.
so much. That's so great.
Oh, Michaela, this has been amazing. So where would you like people to go? I'm so excited for you to tell them.
You're so funny. So I actually just launched a podcast. Yay!
Woo!
And it's called For Women Who Write,
Uh,
and it is diving into way more of what we talked about today, just strategies. What do you need to be thinking about? If you're interested more in self versus traditional publishing, I just did a way in-depth review of all of that,
Mhm.
overcoming mindset, what you need to do to be able to start making this happen. If it does feel super overwhelming to you and you feel like you're not there just yet, the podcast is a really helpful next step to be like, okay, let me just learn a little bit more. Also, who is this lady? Can I trust her? Let me see, who she really is. And the podcast is a great place to start for that.
Amazing. Well, we will link that up. We will share it, cheering you on. Go
Yeah.
check out Michaela's podcast. Go check out her website. And thank you so much for being here, Michaela. I love what you
Yeah.
do. It's such important work. And I'm excited to see what comes to you and your business in the new year.
Thank you so much, Carly. This was fun. I love chatting this with
Yeah,
you.
I know. Me too.